Did Wendy's end up in hot water for something other than the infamous finger chili incident? And what famous franchise was accused of throwing floor food into their meat processing machines? Some of these claims may inspire you to eat in tonight. A deep voice exclaiming, "We have the meats," might be one of the first things you think of when Arby's comes up. But what exactly are those meats? This was the question that surrounded the restaurant back in 1997, after a rumor started circulating that the company's signature roast beef wasn't really roast beef at all, but rather a combination of gels, liquids, and pastes that formed an imitation meat.
Arby's. Technically, it's food.
Thankfully, Arby's announced there was absolutely no truth to the urban legend and that its beef was entirely made out of beef. Jim Lauder, the brand's quality assurance representative, told Snopes, "Thank you for doing your part to curb the urban legend about Arby's roast beef. I'm sure I'm not the first to express frustration about this type of story." The answer to your question is no. Our product does not arrive as a paste, gel, or liquid. Subway has been the subject of several weird rumors over the years, but one of the nastiest stories has to do with one specific ingredient: tuna. Several lawsuits accused the sandwich franchise of using tuna that was far from being actual tuna. According to NPR, a marine biologist analyzed 20 samples from 20 different Subway franchises and found, quote, "no detectable tuna DNA sequences whatsoever in 19 of them.
Yummy!
Here's the kicker. Other types of animal DNA, like chicken and pork, were found instead. Despite the bombshell accusation, Subway fired back and asserted its tuna was the real deal. In an email to the New York Times, a spokesperson wrote, "Subway delivers 100% cooked tuna to its restaurants, which is mixed with mayonnaise and used in freshly made sandwiches, wraps, and salads that are served to and enjoyed by our guests." In response to the allegations, Subway even put together a dedicated website page debunking the myths about its tuna. Still, the lawsuit has been ongoing for years. Turns out the tuna scandal wasn't the only time Subway was accused of selling mystery meat to unknowing customers. According to a disturbing study by the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, the sandwich shop was serving poultry meat that only contained 50% chicken DNA. When you get a piece of chicken from the store, it should be 100% chicken. However, once seasoned and cooked, that percentage can slightly decrease. In the study, the lab tested samples from several fast food chains, including A&W, McDonald's, Tim Hortons, and Wendy's, all of which tested in the high 80s for the chicken content. Subway, on the other hand, only landed 53.6% for its oven-roasted chicken and a meager 42.8% for its chicken strips. The rest of the chicken was mostly soy, something that didn't sit well with the general public.
We expected 100% chicken.
Subway, of course, fired back at the CBC. A spokesperson told NPR, "The accusations made by CBC Marketplace about the content of our chicken are absolutely false and misleading. Our chicken is 100% white meat with seasonings, marinated and delivered to our stores as a finished, cooked product. We have advised them of our strong objections. We do not know how they produced such unreliable and factually incorrect data, but we are insisting on a full retraction." Despite this official retort, CBC has not retracted their story. Human flesh burgers. That headline surrounded Dairy Queen back in 2019 thanks to a false accusation made at a South Carolina branch of the popular franchise. Federal agents raided the restaurant, leading to claims that the raid was because a man accused the fast food joint of serving human meat in the burgers. Although Dairy Queen was quick to announce on Twitter that its burgers are 100% beef, the story set off a chain reaction of rumors over the internet. However, the accusations were put to rest when news outlets reported the raid actually had to do with an unlicensed money transfer operation. When asked about human flesh being in Dairy Queen meat, Greenwood County Coroner Sonny Cox told Index Journal, "I can honestly say that it's the first I've heard of it, and I don't see any validity in that at all. There's little to no chance of anything like that ever being able to happen." In 2014, Pizza Hut went through an international scandal that involved beef and chicken from a Chinese supplier that was well past the expiration dates. Apparently, the products were simply repackaged and given a new expiration date before being sold. An undercover reporter at the factory found workers using expired chicken skin for chicken nuggets, and even more horrifically, throwing discarded food from the floor into the meat processing machines. Pizza Hut wasn't the only fast food conglomerate to be affected by the Chinese supplier. McDonald's and KFC were both getting meats from the supplier as well. Although this may have been an isolated incident, Pizza Hut doesn't have the best track record when it comes to healthy ingredients. In 2009, the franchise made a bold announcement saying, Pizza Hut is redefining quality in the pizza category, getting rid of things like artificial preservatives, beef fillers, and high fructose corn syrup. But the company quietly backtracked on its healthy promises shortly later. And more recently, the Humane League specifically called out pizza chains, including Pizza Hut, for their inhumane treatment of chickens. When you put the words Wendy's chili and controversy together, the first thing that likely comes to mind is one particular case that happened way back in 2005.
Now we turn to the story everybody is talking about, the finger in the Wendy's chili.
As the story goes, a woman was eating at a San Jose branch of the restaurant when she found part of a human finger in her chili. It was later discovered that her husband got the severed finger from a coworker. She cooked and planted the finger in the chili, leading the fast food chain to lose around $21 million in business from the incident. However, there's even more controversy around Wendy's famous chili. Employees have revealed on online platforms that the bulk of the chili is recycled and sometimes older hamburger meat. One Redditor wrote that she would never order the chili. The meat comes from the leftover meat on the grill that dries out. It's then cut up, frozen, and bagged for later use in the chili. It's not unhealthy and it won't make you sick or anything. It just doesn't quite sit right with me. One doctor who spoke to She Finds says combining patties that have been kept at room temperature for hours is just food poisoning waiting to happen. Is Wendy's being extra sustainable by reducing, reusing, and recycling? Or is it just plain nasty? You be the judge. For many people, the idea of fast food mystery meat often conjures up images of ground beef from one place in particular, Taco Bell. Back in 2011, the Yum Brands food chain was sued for its seasoned ground beef. According to Fox News, the attorney representing the lawsuit said the meat consisted of only, quote, 35% beef, with the remaining 65% containing water, wheat oats, soy lecithin, maltodextrin, anti-dusting agent, and modified cornstarch. Although the lawsuit was eventually withdrawn, Taco Bell became more transparent with its advertising, spending millions to protect its reputation. The franchise released several videos and web pages publicizing that the product was 88% beef and 12% its signature recipe. The company even got a little bit snarky with an ad campaign headline that read, "Thank you for suing us," followed by a full-page ad explaining the contents of its ground beef. The company's CEO at the time, Greg Creed, came out with a statement to reassure customers about the fine quality of the beef product. He went on to say that it was unfortunate the attorneys had not reached out prior to initiating the public lawsuit that painted the company in such a bad light. Taco Bell's beef is indeed beef, well, 88% beef at least. In 2013, a very mysterious meat made its way into Burger King burgers, and not the kind customers wanted: horse meat. For weeks, the burger giant completely denied any allegations that horse meat was being served in its burgers, assuring customers that its meat hadn't been affected by the European-wide horse meat scandal at the time. But after new tests showed its burgers did indeed contain trace amounts of horse meat, Burger King was forced to admit the truth. It turned out the meat could be traced back to an Irish-based meat processing company called Silvercrest, which in turn imported offcuts of meat, including horse, from Poland. Burger King wasn't the only company involved in Horsegate. Tesco, Aldi, and other brands also sold contaminated meat from the supplier. Although food safety experts say that eating horse meat doesn't have any health risks, people became concerned at the fast food company's ability to trace ingredients used in its kitchens. Burger King's vice president, Diego Biamonte, passed the blame back to the supplier and promised consumers that this issue would never occur again. The company promptly replaced all Silvercrest products with a different supplier. Despite the admission, people weren't happy. Several organizations condemned the chain's terrible handling of the situation and lack of transparency. It's hard to blame them for it, especially if they had unknowingly eaten a horse burger. On his show, Jamie Oliver's Food Revolution, celebrity chef Jamie Oliver revealed that a pink slime used as filler in McDonald's burger meat was made with fatty beef offcuts covered in ammonium hydroxide. Pink slime wasn't actually a novel occurrence in the industry. The term was originally coined in 2002 by a microbiologist at the U.S. Department of Agriculture to label lean, finely textured beef used in the meat processing industry. However, Oliver publicly denounced its use on his show and presented its unappetizing raw state on the air. Basically, we're taking a product that would be sold at the cheapest form for dogs, and after this process, we can give it to humans. After months of campaigning and media hammering, McDonald's announced it would stop using the beef filler in its burgers. It was a win for burger lovers everywhere. Nobody wants pink slime mixed in with their food. Many people agree KFC's fried chicken is absolutely delicious, and most would credit that to the Colonel's secret blend of spices.
It's finger-licking good.
Others, however, might point to more devious strategies, like, say, genetically modifying chickens in order to create bigger, meatier birds. In 2014, a rumor began to spread that the company rebranded from Kentucky Fried Chicken to KFC, not because it's easier to say, but because it was legally required to do so due to a bogus story that it was creating mutant chickens with extra limbs. Of course, the theory was debunked by platforms like Snopes, but that wouldn't be the last time KFC was accused of selling questionable meat. In 2015, a customer claimed they were served a deep-fried rat. After lab tests, KFC announced that the rat was indeed chicken that just happened to be shaped like a rat. Sure, KFC's fried chicken may not be the healthiest food in the world, but at least the chain isn't serving up rats, genetically modified or otherwise. Back in the day, McDonald's was quite open about cooking its French fries in 93% beef fat tallow. The aim was to cut costs, but the result was delicious fries that became famous around the world. Just about everyone loved them until a prominent businessman named Phil Sokoloff had a heart attack, which he blamed on cholesterol from fast food. This led to a decades-long fight against McDonald's fries until the company finally relented and swapped beef tallow for 100% vegetable oil. With the change, many vegetarians and vegans thought that they would now be able to enjoy the famous fries, but they were wrong. To mimic the world-famous taste the beef tallow gave the fries, McDonald's used natural beef flavors. The problem? McDonald's didn't publicly announce this ingredient change. This brought on a wave of outrage, especially from vegetarians, vegans, and people from religious backgrounds that don't allow the consumption of beef tallow. In 2001, 2 Hindu vegetarians from Seattle sued McDonald's for deceiving its customers with its fries. The fast food giant fired back and said it never claimed its fries were vegetarian. In the end, though, McDonald's settled and agreed to donate $10 million to various groups for mislabeling its fries.